We're rolling.
We're rolling? Okay, cool. Aloha, mother fathers. Welcome in. Another episode of the Side Hustle Podcast. That's going to be my new thing now. I hope you're okay with that.
I'll live with that.
Does the hat kind of speak to...
Sure. And you even, we can't show your feet, but you even brought in the Crocs from Hawaii, too.
Yeah, I got the little... I don't know what those things are called. They have like the little things we had last week on the show, too. I got the palm tree in the one. I got the shark and the...
This is a wrestling show, so it's called props.
Yeah, it's called props. These little things here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I haven't washed these yet because I have the sand still on it, so I'm trying to think about warmer days. Though I came back and it's actually not that bad here in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, how about that?
It was when I first got here. It was snow on the ground, but now it's all melted, so that's good.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, do me a favor. Can you let me know, did the groundhog see his shadow?
Boy, you want to talk about lies in America.
People still like watch that.
Between the groundhog, yeah, you want to talk about lies, right?
Pete's in the background. Don't you fucking talk about my groundhog.
Man.
No, the only thing I can think of with Groundhog Day is I keep seeing the tweet every year, and it's of course every year because it's Groundhog Day.
No Bill Murray waking up.
No, but the that they should they should announce a sequel to Groundhog Day and just release the original in the theaters, which would be
fantastic.
which would be hilarious.
That's a great idea. You should trademark that.
It's been around. I see it every Groundhog Day. People post it on social media, and I'm like, you know what? I would actually probably pay to go see Groundhog Day in a theater.
It's weird. They have no like previews for it. They just said, hey, it's gonna be a fresh experience, whole new way to put out a movie, and it's just the same fucking movie.
But you should already know the storylines. You should already know
that it's the same movie.
It's the same movie. You should jump in. You don't need no preview package. You just jump right on in. And
you know what, though?
At the end, Bill Murray's like, ha 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 ha.
It may do better than some of the recent Marvel releases. So
that's a problem. I like these movies too. The problem is now it's popular to hate on Marvel because it's not what it was. It's like I like the Marvels. I thought it was a good movie.
I saw that is it true that there's superhero fatigue now?
I think so. See, I think that's the problem is because there are so like the original MCU stuff up through Infinity War and Endgame. That was great. And
it was a big crescendo too. How do you follow up one of the best movies of all time?
And I liked Guardians 3. I finally got to see it, and I like that.
Yeah.
But there's
great movie.
There's so much content, and the problem is when you have so much content, it gets weak because it gets spread so thin that it's like they're pulling superheroes out of there. That's like unless you're really into the comic books, which there are a lot of people that are.
Yeah.
But the problem is the people that are showing up and making it $1 billion movie, they're not. There aren't that many people that are that deep into the comic books, and they're sitting there going, wait, who is it? Isn't this like this other person? Because you have to admit, in the comic books, and I'm not a huge comic book nerd, I'm not, but there are a lot of superheroes that are really kind of similar.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying DC versus Marvel. I'm just saying that Marvel itself.
Right. Isn't the idea of comic, because my uncle is huge, in the comic books. I remember when I was younger, going to the attic, saw the whole box of comics that were in plastic, don't touch them, anything like that, from the 60s and 70s. Isn't that the entire point of the comic book universe? Is to keep diving in, and there's more stories, and there's more things to do.
It's a challenge too because, like you mentioned, you made the Avengers movies, the big ones, like Infinity War and all that stuff, and then the first movie after that, I think was that Spider-Man, or was it kind of in that time frame, or when they put No Way Home out, or whatever it was?
It might have been.
And you had the big stars making comebacks and stuff.
And
so
No Way Home was
a fantastic
really
movie.
Good.
It was a great movie, that Spider-Man. So the problem is now, you're expecting every single one to have to bring it. And if it doesn't bring it like that,
you're
kind of like, oh, well, it kind of sucked. It's like, well, I don't think the movies are bad. It's kind of to your point. I think we're just so used to now it's got to be this crazy, big, huge thing. And if it's not a huge, big thing that plays a major part in a story, it's like, well, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, I think it's in comparison, right? So that's the problem is you've got to go bigger, you got to go better. It's got to be more, which basically,
and the budget has to match too.
Yeah.
Right, and the problem is because they're going so deep into the well that I think people are just like, yeah, I gotta watch something else.
Well, too, at this point, they're kind of hitting the reset button because it's a whole different set of heroes at this point too, right? I guess.
I think, but that kind of like takes some people off too because they're like, oh, it's just a.
I miss Robert Downey Jr. or whatever. It's
right,
like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
Well, but my wife loves Iron Man. That's her thing.
Okay.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I was more. I just enjoyed the entire thing, and I like the shows and stuff too. I don't mind having a lot of content because it's nice. It means I have something to watch. And we relate to that too because that's what we watch. We watch all the Marvel movies. We watch all the shows.
But we watch our versions though, right? We watch the ones that we liked, initially, right? Like I heard people like, "Oh, that's not Toby. That's not Tobey Maguire."
I never got
what?
into the movies as much until they actually started making it all connected like this. That's when I started paying more attention to it. And obviously she likes reality TV. I watch fucking wrestling. So it's like, we don't have a lot of things we watch. Even though they're kind of similar.
they're really similar in scope.
Speaking of going bigger and better, something's going on this weekend in Perth.
Oh, yeah. I forgot there was...
I'm bringing us back.
No, way to bring it back.
Yeah, we're going to talk Elimination Chamber.
You know what was funny, though? That's how people reacted to All-Star Weekend. It's like, it's a big deal. Big deal. And then the weekend happens.
Wrong podcast to get me started on that.
The weekend happens, Oh, I have solutions. I do have solutions for this.
I've seen some things too, and you can just not do it. That's always a plus.
Do it. They should still do it.
So I'll say something really quick.
Yeah.
The Rising Stars game should be the All-Star game. If you want competition, you want the kids to play and show out and make new stars and move the game forward, that should be the main event.
I will tie this in somewhat to what wrestling used to be, and really more so MMA. The Ultimate Fighter, I think, has always been... I haven't watched The Ultimate Fighter in years.
But they have like 35 seasons or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
When it first came out...
Oh, my God.
On Spike TV.
Yeah, the Chuck Liddell and I think it was on DVD.
Yeah. One of the all-time great shows, and it legitimately built superstars.
Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, that fight at the end still, I see that in my dreams. That was amazing.
Bring a version of Ultimate Fighter in basketball terms to the NBA.
Have them actually beat the living shit out of each other on the court.
I would do that. You get Meta World Peace on one end.
Not the fight in college we saw last week. People are pushing each other.
Yeah.
At the end of Sacred Hearts game. Yeah. No, make this legit. I want someone hitting someone in the face.
You get Ron Artest on one end. You get Ben Wallace on the other hand. He had a huge right hand punch on that melee.
Which is nuts because he's lefty too, which is insane.
Yeah, but the dude went right on the floor.
Tri-C's finest, Ben Wallace.
He went right on the floor. Oh man! But I think the NBA should do something like that though, like some kind of a series where, hey, look, you want LeBron to build a team, you want Stephen Curry to build a team, voila, and you go eliminations, do one-on-ones, and then boom, the winner gets an NBA contract. This could be a G League night thing or something, but you get an NBA contract.
I'm sure the owners are really going to appreciate paying that person a lot more money all of a sudden. That's going to go great. I'm sorry, governors. I apologize. Jesus.
So The Rock came back at Hollywood. It's not really Hollywood Rock.
It's Floral Rock. With his dumbass tank top he was wearing that was open.
It's corporate Rock who can't...
It's a robe with a tank top robe. That's what it was. He had the strings on it. Yeah.
You didn't like it.
No.
I was stunned. I thought this was amazing. I thought what we saw with The Rock on Friday, I was just sitting there. He started talking about trailer park trash. He ripped the fat guy for, having herpes or whatever. It was great.
Nostalgia for you. I get it. And I get it, yeah.
Isn't that part of entertainment, though?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying I didn't like it because there's a reason why we like Drew McIntyre right now, right? What he's saying, all these things, it's true. It makes sense. You can go down a rabbit hole into one of his comments, he's not lying. He's kind of right. The Rock's flat out lying about Cody Rhodes. That's the big difference with all this. It kind of leaves it half open. To say that you had your chance and you blew it. He beat the shit out of you last year when everyone knows Cody had Roman beat multiple times and it was a screwy finish with the bloodline. And I get it. It's the heel thing. But the problem is the best heels make sense. And it all actually is that's why McIntyre is about to get this World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania and doing the best work of his career because he's not been wrong about anything he said. It's all been right. Everything he's talked about with Punk, with his situation and all that stuff too. You may not agree with him, but we can also take a step back and go, I mean, I get why he's pissed. Like,
But
it makes some sense. I mean, he's going about it kind of a shitty way. He's being an asshole, but at least he's telling the truth. He's not lying. I mean,
is Rock really lying?
Cody just won back-to-back Royal Rumbles, and he said he doesn't deserve to be in the main event of WrestleMania.
But that's not a lie. That's an opinion. That's not a lie.
He's treating it like that's the truth. It's
that's
not.
that's what our politicians do all the time.
So then he's gearing up for his next field work. Then good job, Rock. There you go.
There you go.
Can't wait to see you run as an independent and get 12% of the vote. Congratulations.
He's doing
fantastic.
He's doing his job. He is framing. He's not lying. He's framing.
The frame is open. That's the problem. It's not a closed frame.
Of course, and that's by design.
If he could button that up with an actual reason why Cody doesn't deserve, besides the fact, he lost last year. Oh, so he didn't just get his ass beat by Brock Lesnar for 3 months and work through that, go through the War Games match and win that, then win his second straight Royal Rumble. But
right.
he's still not. He doesn't deserve to be there. His moment's passed, right?
Rock didn't do that part of the research. He brought up the Utah Jazz thing.
Thank you for the board member doesn't fucking watch the product, so we just found out too. That's fantastic. Bullshit.
Isn't that how all corporate members go in America?
Unfortunately.
They only watch the important stories. They don't track your day-to-day progress.
Well, the problem is most people weren't in the actual business they were doing before. And
That's the point. That's today's America.
It's frustrating because Drew McIntyre is a better heel than The Rock. That's my problem. The number one heel in the company right now is not Roman Reigns. It's not The Rock. It's Drew McIntyre.
Well, if that's
simple.
First off, if that's true,
he's also getting bigger pops than a lot of the faces right now. McIntyre is because again, it's all rooted in truth.
I thought you were saying he was getting a bigger pop than The Rock. I'm like, no.
When The Rock first comes out, he gets the pop, and he's got the catchphrases and all that bullshit.
Like The Rock he had the audience in Salt Lake tied up to his feet, like he had it locked in
until they start talking about Cody, and then that's where people will chant Cody's name.
But it's fine. Yeah. First off, if McIntyre's getting more of a reaction as far as being a heel, first off, that's a good thing because we're building stars for the future. WWE is building somebody for the future. I can envision now Drew McIntyre having that world title for the next 6 months, 7, 8 months. I can envision Drew McIntyre carrying that show and having great feuds. So first off, on the McIntyre part, that's good. That he's doing fantastic work. Back to The Rock. I think we have to define a little bit of the difference between lying and framing. Did Rock go out there and say that Cody didn't fight Brock? Well, I don't know if you can acknowledge Brock Lesnar these days, but that he
basically said he didn't. He hasn't earned anything. He had his chance. He failed. So you don't get it. You don't get another chance. He basically said that's not how the story works. And then this is the part that bugged me. He used the 49ers but the 49ers lost in the Super Bowl and worked their way back to that moment and got back again and then also lost again. But it didn't make sense.
I will give you that.
It's been a full year. It's a champion. It's like if the Heat lost the finals last year, they're not going to come this year and say, "Oh, well, we had our chance last year. We can't get back there." It's like, no, Cody. He said the 49ers picked up their bootstraps. They moved on. What's Cody been doing? He hasn't talked to. He caught Roman Reigns one time, and there was that one SmackDown when they were tag team champions or whatever it was. He didn't bug him. He moved on. And then he came back because he earned the right to be back in that conversation. That's the whole point of this whole thing where it's like, dude, you sound like a fucking idiot.
I do think there was the analogy that he used, though, I do think there was a missed opportunity because I thought when he went with the Utah analogy, what I thought he was going to say was, Utah Jazz, Michael Jordan came into the building, picked up their bootstraps, moved on, and then next year got beat again by Michael Jordan, and then
they didn't even make it back. They never got back to the finals.
And then they never got back. I thought I will admit, I thought that Rock not saying that was a little bit of a missed opportunity because then you could have said, well, Cody has another shot, whatever, and just like the Utah Jazz did the second go-around, he's going to fail just like they did against Michael Jordan, and that'll be it.
But they only played him one time in the finals. They didn't go back-to-back. It was one time when they were done.
Mm-hmm.
So the analogy would have made even more less sense.
I know. Yeah.
But again, using the sports references like with the 49ers, it's like, dude, so what you just basically said what the 49ers need to do is because they lost the Super Bowl is to move on and then not get back to the Super Bowl again because they lost their opportunity. It doesn't. This is my problem with the promo. I get like the pops and the slap the herpes off your face, whatever. Like that's funny. It's great. But his actual content in the promo, The Rock said a lot without saying a goddamn thing. And that's the problem. And I get it's a long-term story we're building here because we have a couple months until WrestleMania. But we're guessing now, like, oh, what did Cody say? And again, we're supposed to ask questions, and we're supposed to kind of.
I think we are asking questions.
We are, but the problem is he's not making sense in the moment. You could have tailored that promo differently to where it actually made sense. He sounds, and I'm being honest here, like he's losing it a little bit to me.
He's not losing it.
He's not losing the crowd. The crowd work's always going to be there because he built that over the years before the Attitude Era. He's always going to be over. That's not the problem.
He's not losing it. It's just a matter of context.
He was stuttering a little bit over there too, but that's beside the point.
Well, but again,
but he should write his promo on his wrist again.
Stop it. It's just a matter of context.
It's not popular taking shots at The Rock too. I understand. I get it. But at the same point, I didn't like what I saw.
Well, the first job was entertaining.
And great job, by the way, too, making Roman Reigns look like a secondary person again. Good job. Yeah,
Isn't that part of the story?
So
that the story now?
Is that Roman feeling slighted by Rock turning face? Is that what we're going for now? I mean, are they hell bent on making Roman a face again?
Something's going to happen.
It has to. Otherwise, what the fuck are we doing?
Something's going to happen. I mean, yeah, Roman has taken a second seat.
That's what you want your champion of over 1,300 days to do is, take a seat, take a back seat.
But that's bound to happen. When you have the Rock.
Bound to happen.
Yeah.
Is Hogan taking a back seat to any of these fuckers? Is San Martino taking a backseat to any of these guys when they were champion? I get times are a little bit different, but still, man, that's not fucking happening.
First of all, I'm sorry that Roman can't develop more of a dialogue in his promos than acknowledge me. Whose fault is that? I mean, literally, whose fault is that?
The problem is when Roman.
If we backtrack this feud 20, 25 years ago, if it was Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, and Hulk Hogan came. Forget the history for a second. Hulk Hogan came over. Forget that WCW existed for a second. Hulk Hogan comes over while they're building Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels in 98.
Okay.
You think Stone Cold's taking a back seat to Hulk Hogan in the promos? No. No.
And Roman has even more of a point because he's been champion for 3 years. So it's like, and Stone Cold was just trying to make a name for himself at that point.
But Stone Cold has more of an on-air presence, even back then, than Roman.
Roman does. The problem is he's doing this voluntarily. He's being like, okay, yeah, let's roll with it. Like because it's The Rock, it's family, that stuff too, and obviously The Rock is a big star. So he understands this is not going to be Rock's not going to be here every week. So he's trying to give him that platform because again, it's less work for me, cool too, fine. I'm still me. But the problem is in that whole thing, he's getting overshadowed to the point where it's like, do we care about Rock and Roman anymore? Do we want to see Rock and Cody at this point?
Well, but I think if we're criticizing that Roman is getting overshadowed, I don't know who else to blame in that scenario than Roman.
Which is fine. You can do that.
I don't know who else to blame.
Well, Rock
is out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Rock is out there to do his job.
Yeah.
All the characters that's out there is there to do their job.
Also, argue too, you really didn't need The Rock for this. Like, if you weren't going to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, which is the match everyone has wanted for multiple years, I mean, you could have kept him impartial as a, listen, man, your family, I respect that, but at the same point, and if you're going to build that match next year, that's how you do it. I told you, the special guest referee is our most viewed clip on TikTok for a reason, because it makes the most sense. It's how he can flex his muscle and be involved in the match without being in the match.
But you can't have The Rock present without him talking. Which
is fine. He could host a segment between them too, where they okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, whatever.
Think about this though, Kyle. We still have a month, 5-6 weeks until Mania. There's still a lot of unanswered questions.
We're gonna get some at EC too.
We still don't know
what Cody said to
what Cody said to Rock.
No,
we have no clue,
and they just keep avoiding it.
And until we find that answer, this story will be incomplete. We still don't know.
If Cody came to The Rock and said, "I had my shot, it's your turn," I understand. That's one thing. Then that obviously makes more sense for The Rock to say that. So this is not like concrete, like I think it's going to be terrible all the way through. I don't. I think it's going to be good. I'm just saying that promo in that moment for me was like more holes than circles, man. I don't know. Like it felt very incomplete as far as what he could have done to set up the next phase through it. Unless Cody just goes on a rampage, and he needed to do it on Monday.
I thought something was going to happen Monday, but
didn't.
they had the match instead with McIntyre, which we'll get to in a moment.
But then now they're moving on to EC with him and Seth with Grayson Waller. So Grayson Waller can get a set. So hopefully they address some of this.
I imagine the next stage, and you have the Seth Rollins portion of it too, and I imagine the next stage of this is going to be Saturday. Me personally, I had no problem with The Rock's promo on Friday. I think it was just a necessary get him out there. For those who knew him as a heel 20 years ago, 25 years ago when he was corporate Rock, yes. It was great. It was the insults.
Yeah.
And then for those who didn't know The Rock, because you have a new generation of fans who have never seen The Rock in this phase, I think this was a great introduction to The Rock as a heel. And that was the number one thing they needed to establish on Friday, and they did. The story will come. Yes, there are flaws in the story itself, but the number one job from last Friday was establishing The Rock as a heel, establishing The Rock as, oh my God, this is a change of character, but here's why there's a change of character, and I thought they were hugely successful in accomplishing that goal.
If he left out the Cody doesn't deserve it part, which we all know is bullshit, then I think it would have been a great promo.
But that's getting the most reaction. The entire premise of his character right now.
The herpes comments getting the most reaction. It's what the most retweeted thing is.
It's funny, but the thing you're getting out of it is his reaction to what he said about Cody. That's what you want. If you're following
at the end, when he said, "I'm going to do everything I can,"
want.
when he said, which was a good line, "I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you walk out what you are," which is a loser. That's fine.
Can I point out something about that? And I'm not going to point out the obvious, like, oh, well, the way the camera was shot, he pointed, whatever.
Because The Rock likes to point in his promos too. Let me
Right.
tell you something, little buddy.
He did. Go back and watch Paul Heyman. Watch Heyman's reaction. We've known for the last 4 years now, 3.5 years. Paul Heyman is fully invested in Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Still is.
Yeah.
Even with The Rock involved, even with no matter everything that's going around. See, everybody's talking about The Rock pointing at Roman. No one has pointed out that Paul Heyman saw that too. Paul Heyman, go back to that tape. Paul Heyman, when the way that it was shot, when Rock pointed at Roman's direction, Heyman caught that and saw a bit of concern. He displayed a bit of concern in the direction of Roman. Pay very, very close attention to Paul Heyman's role in all of this. Pay very close attention. I think he is the one guy. While all these other things are going on, Jimmy Uso now is doing his own thing, but they got to do it. Whatever, fine. Whatever. He's doing his own thing. Solo's a huge obstacle. A huge obstacle right now. Watch Paul Heyman's involvement in all this. I think that's going to be. Paul Heyman will put this story over the top because of how he's reacting. And watch Roman's initial resistance. Because at some point, Heyman's going to try to say, hey, Rock is not really here for you, Roman. He's not really here for you. You're the undisputed Universal Champion. You've been here for 3 years. Why are you, like Kyle mentioned a little bit ago, why are you being overshadowed by the hell to the chief? Just keep a close eye on Paul Heyman.
We also know who you're voting for in the next election if he's running. Start the music right now in the background.
Oh, man. How about that? But all in all, pretty cool for The Rock just to come back as a move that Vince McMahon would have made. Rock would have came back just as it would have been 2015 all over again in Philadelphia. That Royal Rumble.
It's a little different now because Roman's in a different time in his professional career too. People are not upset to see Roman. They're still, even though people bitch about his reign being super long and he only wrestles like 3 times a year, like still like they're like, hey, when he's there, it still feels special. I mean, the promo just left a few things for me where it's like, you could have done something else. You still could have talked shit about Cody.
Mm-hmm.
You could have played up the fact that he lost to Roman, that he's never been able to find his way back until all of a sudden now he gets a chance to Royal Rumble and he happens to win it. Like that's like you're disallowing all the stuff that he did for the past year. Like he just sat there on his ass and was waiting to just challenge Roman again. Like he didn't actually work his way from the bottom all the way back to the top where he is. And
well, like you said, it's up to Cody to
he's got to respond.
He
can't just be like,
I'm waiting for Cody and his fans is waiting for Cody to respond. Like, do something.
Yeah.
You got slapped by The Rock. You got, Solo, ended that match with McIntyre. Like, do something. Stop letting other people fight your battles.
Just want to point out to you, by the way, my WrestleMania card is looking fantastic.
It is. It's coming together.
Except for Cody and Seth and Brock and Roman, which is unfortunate. But the main events are a little shaky. But the USO match is going to happen now, which is great.
I have the main events. You have everything else covered.
Go figure, right? I also love my Big E prediction against Gunther. I'm just saying. Looks like maybe we're going to get him back because now Imperium and New Day is going to have that street fight next week. It's lining up where it's like who's either Sheamus or Big E. One of the two is going to show up. Probably Sheamus. But nevertheless, I'm hoping Big E surprises all of us and shows up and makes it a full thing. So,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. Missy buddy.
So, last Monday, Raw opened. And I was a little stunned by it. I was watching a little bit of the Daytona 500. I was watching Daytona.
He made a left turn.
He
made another left turn.
No,
you turn it off for 20 minutes. You ain't going to miss a damn thing.
Honestly, though, the commentators were actually keeping me locked in. I'll be honest. Like, it wasn't like the same boogity guys. It was Walter. It was a few other guys there, and they keep me locked in. As you can see, that's where my NASCAR knowledge ends.
Boogity. Let's go racing.
That's where it is. So it ends. I flip over to Raw, and I was a little surprised that they opened with Cody and Drew McIntyre.
Well, the IC title match had to be the main event.
And then it made sense. But I'm thinking at the moment, like, oh, that's the main event? Okay, cool. But Raw opened with this elaborate video package. Breaking down why you should be locked
Silencing your phone when we were on the podcast. Sorry about that.
I thought it was my phone there for a
second. No, that was on me. You probably got the alert too. But
I didn't get the alert. What was your alert?
It was, hold on, something about Alabama. Dirty play. Alabama's Muhammad Wag strikes Florida's Alex Condone in the back of the head while
What is up with all these fights in college basketball now?
Good. They're listening to you. More physicality.
We talk about that with the NBA game.
Whoever knocks you out gets an NBA contract.
Hey, G League, baby. G League.
Stay in college. NIL is worth more at this point.
Man. I want to play this clip here. Pete was nice enough to put it in here from Ice Cube's son. Big wrestling fan, O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And he is I think he's a very knowledgeable wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But he's had some critiques about AEW in the past. Reasonable critiques. Like, not like, oh, they suck just because they suck, but reasonable things. And I think one of the big things I mentioned, Cody and Drew McIntyre, a pre-match promo to a video package. Hey, we might have a new audience. This is why you should be invested in this story, this match. Meanwhile, tonight before the taping of our podcast, FTR, Moxley, and Cesaro, they're in a tag team match. They just open with it. No package, no nothing, no anything. Now, the match was nice, but I don't know the story. I didn't know the story going in.
Why are they fighting each other?
Why are they fighting?
Why should we care? Yeah.
What's the point? Take a listen here. Chris Van Vliet on his podcast, Insights with Chris Van Vliet, had O'Shea Jackson Jr. on his podcast, and here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
If I'm watching someone on AEW and I ask, who is this guy? I don't need you to tell me I'm not a real wrestling fan, to tell me how could you not know such and such who did Who gives a damn? Like, I need you. All right, inform me, bro. Or at least have your programming in a way to let people know why you should love this dude, why you should fuck with this guy. That's something that I feel like is missing. Conan, when I was on his podcast, he brought up, when you watch UFC and they give you a little backstory about this dude, backstory about that dude, what this guy's had to go through, what he's done, and vice versa. And then they put him in a room and they cuss each other out. And then by watching those videos, you've picked a side of who you're with. That's missing from that. What they have is this niche group of people who watch all of these wrestling shows, and they're already in the know. So when they see these names together, it is a dream match for them. But you're trying to sell this to American television, baby. You got to movie that up a little bit. You got to give me some cinema to follow, something to hold on to besides the announce team running down a list for me while this dude's walking down the ramp. And I feel like that's missing. And when you are trying to get involved and trying to really give something a chance, and when you question it even a little bit, and you get 80 no-faced accounts coming at you, at any given time, you're like, man, fuck this noise, bro. Like, I'm cool off of it. If y'all like it, I don't. And I don't want that. I have people over there that I'm cool with.
It's great.
Very telling.
Yeah.
Very telling.
Couldn't
And
say it
I
better
like what he
myself.
said about the UFC thing, because even with UFC, I don't know all the fighters at UFC, but if I'm watching UFC 299, all right, here's this person, video package, what they've went through, here's why they're fighting, boom, here comes the fight.
It's lazy for today's booking when you have the resources and you're not using them. This is all part two. Again, the wrestling in AEW, there's some guys I have issues with, but for the most part, a lot of the guys and girls, it's good. The matches are good.
Yeah, the FTR match that I was talking about,
Yeah.
the match was great and went to a draw, and like, okay, cool, that locked me in. But again, if I can't get through the first couple minutes, if I don't know the story, and I move on to something else,
Why am I watching it?
you're not getting me back.
There's no investment in there. Even if someone tapes it and watches it later, they're like, it's a good match, but like, who's John Moxley? Like, oh, is it the guy that was on WWE at one point? Like, they don't know. And that's the problem with them. They just assume everyone knows, and if you don't, you get chastised and yelled at, and you get shot down immediately. Like, you don't, like he said, like O'Shea said, like you're not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm a fan. I just don't know who these guys are because your promotion is 4 years old, and a couple of these guys maybe wrestled for WWE at some point. That's how I kind of know, but they were doing a different name. Why is their name changed? Like, you have questions, and this is where the AEW fans says, well, you need to watch, and they'll answer them for you. It's like, how many shows do I have to wait before you're going to tell me more about this guy other than just a quick little list while he's walking down to the ring?
Well, fitting, Tony Khan responded.
Jesus Christ. Anyone who criticizes AEW, by the way, is obviously a Satanist, so this is going to be great.
So he responded to O'Shea, tweeted here, said, you might enjoy checking out new experiences, plus entire worlds of international graphs out there. I think learning about them is fun. All wrestling is awesome. I hope you enjoy whatever you like. And maybe someday you'll be interested in wider circles.
Made no sense. Maybe one day you'll like it. Maybe one day is what he basically just said.
Sometimes you may not like professional wrestling.
Who gave this kid billions of dollars? Like, some of these billionaires, man, they're just like ridiculous. I don't understand like how they function as adults. Like,
you may not like professional wrestling.
What the fuck?
But you like movies, you like TV shows, you like stage shows, you like entertainment, you like stories. And a great story draws you. They say this about songs. You can lose somebody in the first 15 seconds of a song. If you don't like the first 15 seconds, first 13 seconds.
I'd say first like 5 to 10
of a song.
You can kind of tell.
That's it.
The vibe of it. That's why when you do the previews, when they put like song previews and stuff, at least they before Apple Music and Spotify and all that, like you got the catchiest part of the song playing, that 30 seconds, whatever it is. You're like, oh, it also gives you a decision point of like, do I want to download the full thing? Do I
Mhm.
want to listen to it all, or do I want to just move on? Like, it's
And here's the thing. So again, and people, like, oh, you only compliment WWE, which is not true. Which is not true. First off, you listen to the first like 20 minutes of this podcast. Not true. But but these were the mistakes that Vince McMahon made in the past. Hey, we have, we're booking the world champion, and we know what the world champion's doing. But the mid-carders, we're
get
booking the
lost.
show while the show's going on.
yeah.
So there's no consistency. They don't know what's going on. The story one week, that's why there's 50-50 booking. Somebody like Chad Gable, no direction. Somebody like R-Truth, let's sit them out there just to be funny, but there's no story behind it.
There wasn't an investment if you weren't a top 4 or 5 guy in the company at that point. It was very much just kind of like, yeah, you're just floating around. And if you start to catch on a little bit and I notice it somehow or someone
Mhm.
brings it to my attention, then maybe I'll look at you twice.
Yeah.
But for now, just do your thing.
Yeah. If we care about you, we'll send 20 writers to write your story.
Unless you mess up. And
Unless you mess up.
Then I'm going to fire your ass.
Yeah.
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 So
Then you go to the other company. So
give a lot of credit to Triple H and just paying attention to top to bottom. The lowest person on the card, Cedric Alexander and the other dude that was in Hit Row or whatever,
Mhm.
Ashante the Adonis.
Yeah.
They're getting video packages.
they have a direction. They have character.
They're allowed to, it's kind of it's a formatted type thing where it's bullet points, but it's still like, go just be yourselves and be a tag team. Like,
R-Truth is the greatest example of this because R-Truth in the past.
he hasn't worked in like 6 years,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden now he's on every single Raw and some SmackDowns.
R-Truth in the past. Let's sit him out just to be funny.
Yeah.
Randomly. Let's just sit him out there. He gets beat up. That's it. There's a story arc here. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't know. I don't like R-Truth being involved in championship level matches and things like that.
He may be in the Miz might be getting a chance.
I'm talking about like interfering, like judgment, things like that. But
Yeah.
that's a minor complaint. But the fact that there was a story arc, the fact that they're using an actual journalist and Jackie Redmond to do like investigative journalism. Amazing.
This is how you do comedy correct, by the way. And again, I'm not saying like WWE's always done it right. They've done it wrong a lot more than they've done it right. But in this situation with R-Truth, having those sprinkles in of like that's hilarious. But making it still feel like it's important,
Yeah.
like giving it that time, like it's almost like the Sami Zayn story.
Yeah.
Even though technically R-Truth was never really in Judgment Day, Sami was in the Bloodline for 5-6 months, whatever it was. Like it's recycled but a different flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a chocolate storyline, but we're getting a little bit of vanilla on the side.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's a little bit different, but it feels the same. We're still getting the same emotions out of it. Like we feel like they kind of fucked him over. Like what the hell's going on? Like and Priest showed love for him, and they was like, hang out, whatever. Then eventually ties break, and they're gonna have a match at some point, I'm sure, to make it all a full thing or whatever. But still, it's like okay.
But this is why, and these are if Tony and we're starting to see stories now. Again, if you've learned anything from this week, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
You gotta tell him that now.
You might you might get a news story about a video package that aired 10 years ago. You did not see that
I
story?
don't have any social media anymore.
That's
dude.
good. That's good. One of the more famous wrestling insiders reported a story. He saw a video package from The Rock and Triple H from 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
and reported that as news.
That was like a Rousey WrestleMania storyline thing. Was that when he got slapped or whatever it was? Or?
No, this was like the backstage segment or whatever.
Oh,
That's what that was. And like it said, like The Rock like stepped back or something or whatever. I don't have the Dave Meltzer newsletter, but
don't waste your money. Sorry, Dave. Yeah,
but yeah, and
the AEW newsletter is what you meant.
yeah, the 5-star the
7
Kurt
star.
Angle doesn't deserve a 5-star match.
He was never over.
But
Dave.
Kurt Angle was never over. Kurt Angle, I don't know if he has a future in this wrestling. I don't even know if Kurt Angle's a Hall of Famer.
Did he give Undertaker and Shawn 5 stars for either one of their WrestleMania matches?
Nope.
Yeah, well there you go. That's all you need to know.
Nope.
The second one I could see objectively like not being a 5-star just because it wasn't as good as the first. But the first one, dude, that was a good fucking match. Wasn't much better.
Kurt
Ever.
Angle. And look.
Angle and Shawn. Great
Nope.
match.
Not 5 stars.
Angle and Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Not 5 star. Well, the botch shooting star press, I understand.
They
but
added
still,
to it a little bit. It was kind of like, holy shit,
but
that's like,
still,
wow, there's your oh my god moment in the middle of the match.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
shit.
still, not 5 stars.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
But the Bucks can get a 7-star match for super kicking someone 45 times. So there you go.
How about that?
No bias at all.
How about that? The production of WWE has really ramped up, too.
They're doing things like this more.
They fire Kevin Dunn.
Yeah.
Or mutually split.
Mutually.
Yeah. They brought in somebody from ESPN
Mm-hmm.
to take his place.
People weren't happy about that at first. They wanted to be a wrestling person.
Yeah. And what has happened since? All of a sudden, this random Raw from Anaheim, California seemed like the biggest deal.
Just saying. Because it's also being open to doing these kind of things, like the video packages and building up other people on the show, even if they are not necessarily in the main event. Like
or in WWE in general.
Or fuck. Well, just like hyping up, like, you know, yeah.
We're going to call out Conor McGregor, just cuz.
Well, technically they are, because TKO is all one umbrella.
That's what I'm saying.
But
that's what I'm saying. That was not the case in the past.
Great spot to use it. Got a
Yeah.
big pay-per-view coming up on Saturday, pre-month event, whatever you want to call it. I mean, people eyes are on it. They know Cody's going to be there. They know Jay's going to be there. All that stuff. Like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. And he's live in the crowd, taking his shirt off, and still talking when McAfee's trying to break it down afterwards. Cole's
the
like, what the hell's going on?
telestrator.
That's stupid. I get where they're
And
going.
here's Solo eyeing the Adam's apple, and then boom,
Don, he's done.
he's done.
He's done for the cat. Yinzer Pat McAfee. Love you to death, buddy. You're hilarious.
They're figuring this out. They're evolving their presentation. Now we'll see how AEW responds.
They won't.
They'll get a new. I believe they're getting a new set.
Oh,
They're getting a new set, Kyle.
oh my God.
New set alert, baby!
Holy shit. WWE brings in The Rock. Dynamite gets a new set.
New set, baby. Big business.
Equal.
Big business.
That's 5 stars.
New set. No video package. You already know the story.
You know who these people are.
You know who they are. It's like the comic books we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Just jump right in. You know the story.
Don't start at square one. Start at square 50. Yeah. Who cares what you missed?
Who cares?
It's good wrestling. Who cares?
How dare you miss volume 20? Like, you know the story already.
It's they have a large pizza at AEW, right? There's a large pizza they bought from your local favorite pizza place, Domino's,
Very
Pizza Hut,
curious
whatever.
where this goes.
And they have 4 slices of the pizza, and it looks great. Like, it is fantastic. Pepperoni is perfect. Cheese is nice and cooked well, baked to perfection. Sauce is just fantastic. And the other half of the pizza has actual trash on it. That's what we're dealing with here. They only care about half of the product, and even then, some of the matches aren't necessarily great either, just because they don't understand and weren't trained properly in the wrestling business. I'm not saying you have to be WWE trained. I'm saying just good training in general from people. You have to be at the Performance Center to be professionally trained. I'm just saying, like the Bucks, Kenny Omega, these guys, they were never trained anywhere. They
don't need to be trained.
Oh, right, because they're great athletes, right?
They're the best. They don't need to be
No,
trained.
he's the best wrestler in the world.
They don't need people to come in. Like they already they got butts and seats.
Kenny Omega is closer to having a pee fetish than he is to being a good wrestler. Sorry. And that's a Brock Lesnar joke, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Pete, was that analogy of 5 stars?
Diverticulitis.
Come on, man. Oh man.
That's the Roddy's trending.
Oh,
Next thing you know, you're going to finally touch some of those girls in Japan.
Hey man. Hey.
I would not be surprised. Rio is actually 12. He gets it. You don't, Pete. That's fine. This is now my goal every week in the podcast is to make Double A have to leave the set.
Come on, man. Man, that's not, man. That was not right, man.
It doesn't have to be right if it's true.
Man.
Hey, Just saying.
Man, you ain't right, man.
Trying to give my 5-star review. What's going on over there?
You ain't right, man. You are not right, man.
It's like the I had to give them 5 stars because the app wouldn't unlock all the way unless I gave them 5 stars review. That's what the fuck we're doing over
Oh my God, what was Brock Lesnar doing again?
here.
Somebody put up a tape of his Minnesota Vikings tryout.
I mean, he's a beast. The problem is everyone else in the NFL is a beast too, so it's kind of tough.
Man.
I think Brock would have done better now. Honestly,
Yeah, he
in the
would
NFL.
have. He would
The
have.
physicality and all that stuff. He also get kicked out. He's practically, going to be Ryan Shazerian people left and right, but still, it's
Yeah. We're going to dive more as the weeks go on this Vince McMahon thing because we're now seeing stories. We're seeing a couple people show up on News Nation. And then there's a dispute, too, about whether or not, like, the lady that showed up on News Nation is actually a legit friend, of Ashley.
can't ask her, unfortunately.
Can't
but,
ask her
yeah.
because her daughter says something on Twitter. I think her daughter's now in college. Says something on Twitter. Like that situation is a mess.
I told you before, she's not going to be the only one that comes out and says something.
Well, and now, John Cena was on Howard Stern. Now, John Cena has a target on his back with this because
He's always defended Vince.
he kind of did so here with Stern, and it was, how do you judge a man's character? It was odd.
Well, because
John,
his relationship with Vince is very professional from a standpoint of all they talked about personal stuff, I'm sure, but Vince wasn't going to John and going, "I got a girl for you," that kind of because he knew John was married, he knew John has principles, he knew John doesn't want to be part of that, and if he did bring it up, John's like, "Dude, like let's talk about this," or like how's Shane, how's Stephanie, whatever. Like, he'd probably divert the conversation somewhere else. It's also the negligence part of things. I've seen more.
That's the big part.
I've seen more things about Stephanie lately that's been concerning to me.
Yeah, well, real quick with John, he has been involved with publicly, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but publicly,
He's friends with Vince.
he had a dinner while this stuff was going on with Vince. He had a dinner with Vince,
And
a
Vince's
double date and whatnot.
Whatever that was, yeah.
Which I
Vince
think
is a manipulator too. He could be lying to them as well. Like, oh, I'm dating a young girl. I'm in good shape, pal. What? It's like, I could pull 24-year-olds or whatever.
But like you see Cena's reaction, and then Randy Orton's reaction. Randy Orton's reaction was more of,
fuck you.
Vince did all these things for me, but if what I'm reading and all this is true,
Randy's also a Triple H guy. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If he's gonna give one guy credit for his career, it's not gonna be Vince. It's gonna be
Triple H.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be that.
He's also in a weird spot too. Triple H, just because
Yeah,
of his
let's
placement
not
in the
run from
family.
that.
No, I mean he's gonna have at some point he's gonna have to answer some questions, whether
Yeah.
it's in some sort of cases or trials or whatever it is. He's gonna be under oath at some point and have to answer some things.
There is, hopefully it doesn't come to this, there is a world where if he is involved,
He's out.
then he's out. If Triple H is involved, and we don't know, we're just saying there is a scenario in place.
Who would have thought the person that looks best out of all this is Shawn fucking Michaels?
Could be Shawn Michaels, and then
Like he's the one that looks the guy that was just on pills and just awful in the '90s could be possibly the future CCO of WWE at some
or
point.
maybe not.
The Rock.
It could be Rock.
No, Rock and Vince are.
No, but or you got several board members of TKO. It could be anybody.
They want to have.
It could be Nick Khan, for all we know.
When it comes to that position, I think they want it to be a wrestling person, as in the board of TKO wants that person to be, because they are very influx with talent. So if you bring in like, as CEO at Best Buy, it's
They're not going to do that. But
it has to be somebody that has ties to it. It can't just be, here's Joe Smith from. He worked in Silicon Valley for 40 years and did all this crazy, and he's really successful. And now he's going to be the face of what WWE's doing.
Well,
it's like,
the only thing, though, is that we don't know what TKO. They're still new. This merger is still new, and so we don't know. For all we know, Dana White could be appointed. He could be doing both. Wouldn't that be something? But I mean,
I don't think. I mean, that's,
I don't think.
especially with The Rock on the board too. I think he'd be more of like, okay, let's find somebody that
it would if The Rock wanted to take that on.
He wouldn't do that. He would be the one that would say, let's find somebody that has this kind of background that can handle this job and knows what to do. Because if Triple H is at fault in any of this as well, or knew about it, whatever it was, at least he understands the business.
Yeah.
So they want to try and find someone that understands the business, not someone who just understands business, who understands this business.
Yeah.
And how to book, how to talk to talent, how to have that relationship. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll keep up to task.
I hope to God that it's Vince just lying to everybody, which is very possible, and he kind of led people astray and all that stuff. But Stephanie looks worse. Shane looks bad.
The Stephanie
is in trouble. I think there's going to be some people that are going to be knocking on her door pretty soon. Whether it bleeds over into Paul, who knows? But Stephanie's she's gonna have some things she has to work out and has to respond to, because there was, I guess, at one point I read up there was a possible push to get Vince out in 2006 that was at least talked about or staged or something like that, but maybe it was more about Stephanie knew what happened and she was trying to get him out of the spotlight instead of trying to like make it like, we're firing you, getting rid of you, turning you in. It's like, no, we're just trying to get you out of here so you can go live a private life. Vince wasn't going to do that.
And again, you can't watch the McMahon character without just thinking about, he's actually living out how life was backstage. It's so hard.
Here's the problem, too, with all that. So I know I kind of went after Stephanie a little bit when I went off on Vince before, but what can they do in that situation? Because all the power he had in that company, even when they were publicly traded, he was still the chairman of the board, and he still basically ran the company, and he had board members in his pocket. So he was getting votes if there was going to be votes regardless. And he owned the majority shares too. So it's kind of like it's tough because you can't really do much with that.
You can't. You can't.
So even if they wanted to get rid of him, even if she tried to get rid of him, you can't. So
and even
what do you do then? Do you go and just yell?
Even in a time period where you are answering to shareholders, he's still the majority. At the time, he's still the majority shareholder.
So it's a very tough situation, because then what do you do after that? Do you go public? And Vince has all those resources and stuff to bury all this stuff, and he did for so long.
And blackball you out of the business. He essentially blackballed Shane for years.
Is there a possibility that Shane was like, Dad, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Why was Shane out of WWE for 8 years?
At the end of the day, the same statement I said before about Vince holds true, is that he is a master manipulator. And his ability to talk people, and it's well documented. Convincing wrestlers who will go into his office for a meeting to flip their script 100%. And like, I didn't talk about doing any of what he said to do. Yeah. And now I'm all the way on for it.
Roddy Piper, real quick, then we'll get to the chamber predictions. Yeah. Roddy Piper, he was on a video I saw on this was years ago. He was mentioning he didn't have a good relationship with Pat Patterson. Yeah. And he was starting to go down a path where he's like, well, I was young, 15, 16, 17 years old. I was once a pretty boy, and then Pat Patterson. And then he slipped in and said it was an uncomfortable situation. And then the interviewer tried to press on it a little bit. It's like, nah, I can't get it.
It's also a code in wrestling too. Like you shut up. You don't say anything. You just move on. Yeah. Kayfabe, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which is fine for like the product, but when it comes to like real life shit, like, I mean, you can't be afraid to say something at that point. Like, I know repercussions come down, but
it's tough. It's tough when
it's not going to be easy. Yeah.
When WWF is the big show in town, and we're not talking WCW in terms of where the big boys play. This was the WCW back then was.
80s. It was a regional promotion.
Was on the soundstage. Yeah. 605 on TBS. It's not the same as competing at Madison Square Garden. All right, next podcast we're going to debut. You're going to have a list.
I'll bring that back.
And then I'm going to. I thought about today. We're not going to have time to do it today, but this week in pro wrestling history.
How far back are you going?
Well, I was going to go back. We're not going back too far, but 10 or 20 years.
which is still in the 2000s, which is nuts, by the way.
I know.
We're getting fucking old, dude.
But
that's crazy.
You
He's
look
looking
at
at me like, shut up.
But you look at some of the wrestling cards. Like I pulled up on PW Torch an old TNA live event card from 10 years ago, and
Is McIntyre on that card?
no, Nick Aldis
Oh yeah, yeah.
is on that card. Faces Samoa Joe.
Jeez.
They had a world title feud back then.
There you go.
I mean, so just think of some of the names. that's
And
on
Nick
that-
Aldis is only like 37, 38.
Yeah.
He's still young too. I can't wait for him to
Yeah.
wrestle at some point. I'm curious to see what he looks like.
And like think of like some of the names, like Chris Sabin, some of the old X Division guys, Mr. Kennedy, or sorry, this is TNA. Mr. Anderson
yeah, you gotta be careful.
was still on
Real
that
names,
card.
real names.
I mean, it's crazy. And then they had another card from 20 years ago, an old Ring of Honor card
Mm,
where CM Punk
mhm.
was in action.
Daniel Bryan was part of that, I'm sure
mhm.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the Briscoe brothers.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Jay. Like it's just all that going on. It's great. Like we go through the week to week wrestling stuff, and it's the same with reality shows, same everything. And like you don't realize, especially with wrestling, because it's out every week. 5 years could go by just like that in professional wrestling.
Look at Roman's reign. He won the title yesterday. It's been 3.5 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was still getting used to the full beard. I was used to the goatee. Now he has a full beard. I don't know what's going on. Beard oil. He's got LeBron's The Shop. Stuff he's using probably.
It's amazing.
I need to use that too. I'm getting a little patchy on the sides.
Speaking of Nick Aldis, him and Adam Pearce, they put together. We talked about you heard all of what you had to say last week.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. Double A is he's got some issues at home he's got to work out, but I don't speak that language. I'm sorry.
match.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
At the
but-
first 3 or 4 seconds when you talked, it was like quiet, and then all of a sudden, and then I said, "Fuck that bit." Like, I was like,
Who? They did a great job with the qualified matches. So let's get to it here.
yeah.
So
Elimination Chamber this Saturday. If you're on the East Coast like us, 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
I'm waking up for it because I'm not going to watch SmackDown because it's taped. But I
Mhm.
mean, and I kind of already looked at the predictions and spoilers.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I love Drew McIntyre's logic too. By the way, on Raw, I gotta fly
Yeah.
from the fucking like you're gonna make it in time from wherever they're doing SmackDown. Which, by the way, on SmackDown, watch if you do stay up and watch that and decide to watch EC later. They're not going to say which city they're in on SmackDown on purpose because like it's the same city as last week.
Well, with the commercials, they always say what city they're in.
Yeah,
And they
not this
they
week.
didn't
They're
do it
not.
this week.
Nope, international show, baby.
Nope.
Same thing's going to happen in France and all that stuff too when they have those PLEs. But
I love
I
it.
gotta fly bloody across the Pacific and then I gotta face LA Knight then face him again.
Well, based on our truth logic, the Miz should have made it to Lexington, Kentucky in 2 minutes
yeah, what the hell's wrong with him?
from Hollywood. What is he doing?
Yeah, son of a bitch.
All right.
Come on, Mike.
Here we go. Elimination Chamber match. Winner is going to face Seth Rollins at Mania for the world title. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul in the chamber.
Yeah.
Also, we do not know the chamber order for either
No, they
match either.
haven't done that yet. Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably going to be a random draw, or maybe at the press conference they're going to have tomorrow or whatever, or Friday.
Yeah. Mhm.
They may announce it then, possibly as like a big thing, like
Can we make a case for anybody other than Drew McIntyre to win this match?
you can. I mean, like, so it's Logan Paul. No, he's already a champion. You're not going to do that. Kevin Owens, no.
Lashley.
Lashley, he's going to be with Karrion Kross. They're going to do a full,
Mhm.
group and group feud. That's looking pretty good for WrestleMania too, unfortunately. LA Knight's a possibility because I've heard rumors they're moving off of Logan Paul and LA Knight now for some reason. So he outside chance, not a great chance, but an outside chance. Randy Orton taking a loss is strange because he hasn't been pinned yet since he came back. So he's going to have to lose.
Yeah.
Does someone interrupt and screw Randy over? I mean, how does that work? I mean,
Or who in this match? If they're moving Paul off of LA Knight,
yeah,
would he face Orton at Mania?
probably gonna be a good match.
And that could be where you go.
Yeah, could Logan Paul pin Randy Orton in the match? Dude, that'd be the biggest.
RKO, and then Logan Paul's out of the match.
Or Logan Paul RKO's Randy Orton.
How about
Depends on-
that?
That'd be crazy.
How about that?
It's gonna be Drew.
It'll
but
be
like
Drew.
it's hard to. And I guess like Randy could get pinned by Drew. That would make some sense because Drew's super over. He just beat Cody.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they're investing in Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Even though
Cody's second loss since coming back in WWE.
really, yeah, because Roman was his first loss.
Second pinfall
Second
loss.
pin. Well, he got pinned by did Lesnar tap him out or pin him? I think he pinned him.
Tap.
Oh, he tapped
I
out.
think it was.
Or did he pass
I
out?
think it was a pass out.
Okay.
Yeah, submission.
Yeah. So
But pinfall, this is a
Yeah.
second.
So obviously that should tell you all I need to know. That kind of put the cart in front of the horse a little bit on that one for that, but still, I could see LA Knight making sense. I could see Randy Orton possibly because Randy and Seth would still be great, but they're building the story of Seth versus Drew, and then Damian Priest is in the background.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
There you go. I guess for me with that match, trying to look at the names, you could make a case for Logan Paul, maybe.
You could, but
You could.
you want to make that its own thing with the U.S. title.
Yeah.
I think you don't want to put that title versus title thing because
Yeah,
you've already
no.
got
No.
yeah.
Like, you can make a case, like, if, be relevant, whatnot. It'll be a good reward for Logan Paul, but, yeah, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre. All right, the women's one. All right, here we go. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Raquel Rodriguez.
So, the sad part is there's only really two choices here, unfortunately. It's either Liv or Becky, I think. And it's obviously the one choice is a lot bigger than the other choice, unfortunately. Liv is more of a backlash match, not a WrestleMania match yet, whereas Becky is a WrestleMania match. You can make a case for Bianca or even, not Tiffany, unfortunately, not yet. She's getting there, but not yet. She still feels like the smallest person in the ring, even though she's tall and she's got the persona and all that stuff, but she doesn't feel big enough yet. And Raquel obviously was thrown in because she was thrown in. Her and Rhea can have a great match.
Yeah.
And I think there's still Triple H still wants to make Raquel a star at some point, but this isn't her year. It's not her time. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
She needs a little bit more character development.
Yeah. Not
little
just
bit more
smiling,
character
happy. She needs to be a heel.
She does.
She was presented as like
Mm-hmm.
Big Mama cool or whatever it was too at one point.
Yeah.
Let fucking be heel Diesel.
Yeah.
Let her be that.
I just know her back is impressive.
Great back.
I just know that.
Most people have good backs that wrestle, but nevertheless, hers is the best.
I guess, yeah. They only zoom in on hers every week.
They should have booked her like they're booking Nia. No, she's gotten hurt, so obviously they haven't been able to do that. But
I gotta say this though.
she's doing well.
The-
I'll give her credit. Nia's picked it up.
These six, other than Bianca, did not look good on Monday.
Think Bianca look good?
In terms of that 10 o'clock quarter hour.
I think Becky held her own. I think Becky was fine. She was making little comments. And
I'm
all that
starting to
stuff.
get a little concerned about Becky. I'm getting a little concerned.
I don't know if she's going to win at WrestleMania, but I think she's going to get the match because they want the biggest card possible. And Bianca is big.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another match that's bigger for Bianca.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she's not in the Elimination Chamber because they're trying to save her for a big moment. And that's honestly, Bianca and Jade would be insane.
It would be.
But
It would be.
it's like I said before, it's the Spider-Man meme. You're pointing at each other because they're the same fucking person. Except Jade actually may be a little bit stronger than Bianca. But
Liv Morgan is actually intriguing in terms of winning this match.
it's a story.
It's a story.
And
It's
it makes
intriguing.
sense.
It's different. There's a little bit of a backstory. She explained it with Rhea,
Yeah.
but to be perfectly honest, I didn't remember.
Really?
I didn't. I forgot.
It was a full thing. They were like a meme all over the place. They were getting real popular too, and that's I think when something happened where someone got hurt and someone had to go away for like a month, and that's when
Yeah.
she ended up getting Raquel as a partner and they ended up winning
Mhm.
because that was originally going to be Rhea,
Yeah.
and that turn ended up being Rhea going into the Judgment Day because Edge wanted her in there, and it was a full thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Liv in this situation.
not yet.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah.
she needs to build it back up. I think she'll be in the final 2 or 3, but I don't think she's going to win it. Unfortunately,
Any chance? Any chance for Bianca?
No.
Any chance? And my only scenario would be if you held off her facing Jade. and you go this route. You go Bianca and Rhea.
I think somehow
at Mania,
Becky
and
has
then
to be in the
Becky.
match. Yeah.
But then you have Becky and Jade at Mania.
So at that point, yeah, you're full on at just burying Becky then.
Because then that would be abandoning the plan a little bit here
Yeah.
with Becky.
I don't
that story is essentially saying, Becky, you're down on your luck. Jade is a heel, a mega heel at that point. Becky goes into that match at Mania instead.
Here's a fun question.
But then the problem would be, if you go that route, Jade would almost have to win.
But Jade's gonna win at WrestleMania.
But that would be at the expense of Becky, and then how would Becky come back? And
Exactly.
yeah,
I think also this is good for Jade too. What's the bigger win at WrestleMania, Bianca or Becky beating which one?
the bigger win.
The story and the win, and to build to future
I think those
matches?
are two different questions. I think the better story is her and Bianca.
I think it's a bigger
The
win
bigger
too.
W is her beating Becky.
I don't know, because I think Bianca's going to be bigger than Becky when it's all said and done. Because Bianca's that's an investment story if you ever face Jade, because they can run that shit back.
Yeah.
With Becky, it's like, yeah, huge win. They're both huge wins.
But it would
it's
be
like,
it would be if they go that route, Becky and Jade at Mania. They know the bigger match is with Bianca. They're making fans wait.
yeah.
It's almost in a much smaller scenario. It's
Like the
almost
Rock
like
and Roman
Rock
and
and
all that,
Roman.
yeah.
You make them wait as opposed to giving it to them immediately.
The problem is they already did the Becky Rhea stare down at the press conference, and they've made her feel like she is the person. Kind of like Drew. It just kind of feels like it's almost like, okay, they kind of have to do it. And you could make a case for a few other people in the matches, but at the end of the day, they've put a lot into this already, and they've invested in this kind of story for both of those. So it's kind of like you almost pigeonholed yourself a little bit with that.
So a rarity with these chamber matches.
We know
We know who's going to win both of them.
Pretty much.
Becky and then
Drew.
Drew. We know that.
Those people from the UK are just cleaning up.
I know.
Yeah, how about that?
Great. Speaking of a predictable match, women's world title, Rhea versus Nia Jax.
Is it? This is a Vince move. Have her lose in her home country
In the main event.
in the main event. Jesus Christ. Rhea's probably going to win, but the problem is she has not looked good at all against Nia. Nia's beaten the living shit out of her multiple times. And Rhea's had to jump on Nia a few times, and Nia still beat her ass.
and hopefully by design, right?
And Nia just took out all 6 of the women's. They should have had Rhea come out after that if she was there. I don't think she was. I think she was home.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my plan, right? Go away for a little bit, take a breather.
Yep.
Stop getting your ass kicked by Nia every single week. That kind
She
of thing.
listened to the vacation plan.
Good shit. But nevertheless, well on you, mate. But it's Triple H is investing in Nia Jax big time. Like he's
First
put her
off-
over big time.
First of all, Nia saved that segment on Monday.
Yeah.
She saved the segment.
she
Because none of the other women remembered their lines.
Becky was the only one that was like, you can tell that moment's not too big for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and even Bianca, like you can kind of tell, but she was even kind of like,
Well, so my WrestleMania card, I have Nia in the championship match with Rhea and Becky.
It's possible
Forcing herself into that championship match.
It's possible Rhea wins by some screwy situation, and Nia is able to get her way in with Becky too. I mean, that's very possible.
Maybe, but you hope in this area, like if match placement will tell everything, right?
Yeah.
If this is the last match on Saturday, then Rhea's gonna win this match.
I think she'll win, but I think there's gonna be a loophole and an opening for Nia to be like, that wasn't clean. We're gonna settle this the right way. We need to do it at the biggest stage, because if Nia loses clean in this match,
It's kind of a waste.
what are you gonna do with her?
Yeah, you can't.
Do you do
anything.
Bianca, Nia, and Jade at that point? I mean, you can, but it's like
It's kind of a waste. You have invested a ton in Nia ever since coming back.
just to have her
The
lose.
entire story
Yeah.
of her squashing everybody, legitimately injuring people, her, fans not wanting her there in the first place.
Evolving now into, and actually she's getting pretty decent at working now too. She's got a lot more safe, which I give her credit. I don't know if that was part of like her whole like, I needed to step away for a few years and kind of get my head right. 'Cause
Yeah,
you could tell she had the talent. The problem was mentally she just seemed like she wasn't in there.
yeah.
So now she's invested and she's in and she feels energized for it.
Got an
Good.
opportunity.
Yeah.
There's a chance. There's an opportunity. One more match, and then a segment. Judgment Day versus British Strong Style. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne.
Love the match.
Undisputed Tag Team Championship.
They need to split those damn titles up, like in the worst way. You did it. You did it with other stuff. Like I don't understand why the women's tag titles is one thing because there's less women's tag teams. At
They'll
least for
do
now.
it when they feel like it.
Probably after
You
WrestleMania.
know how the tag teams work. It's every once in a blue moon we're
Poor,
heavily invested in the tag teams,
yeah.
and then
Poor Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, man. It's just there's a story built in with Truth and Miz where it's like that's
this
probably going to
seems
be
like honest. Yeah, this seems like they just needed a match to fill.
and it's going to be a great match because all four of them are great workers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, unfortunately, probably Tyler Bate takes the pin. I imagine because they want to keep Pete strong.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if Pete turns on Tyler because the Bruiserweight was a heel. So
True.
he's this whole like thing is gonna turn into more of like a thing.
Yeah.
So, I
wonder if they sit on that turn until like after Mania.
they
but we'll
could,
see.
but I mean, it's a way to kind of put Pete to the next echelon, next level. I mean, if they
Yeah.
really wanted to, and they have a good first feud for him too. Someone he's worked with a lot that he trusts, that can put him over too at a high level. So,
And then finally, Cody and Seth in this preview on CBS Sports is Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to appear
that's Seth Rollins. Oh my God,
on the Grayson Waller effect.
Colby Lopez is not happy about that.
I know. So we're gonna have you mentioned earlier there'll be the kickoff press conference.
Which I'm assuming they won't be a part of. Grayson probably will be, but they won't be.
Probably. So
Yeah.
when this podcast drops, the press conference will probably happen.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm asking here is that tag match at Mania going to be a reality?
I hope not. Because
And we're talking Rock, Roman versus Seth and Cody.
if Seth was healthy, maybe. They're missing an opportunity here at Elimination Chamber to do that match. I get building it around Rhea. Let that match fucking open.
Mm.
If you're not going to be the last match, be the first match, right?
Yep.
Let that match open the show.
That's the Brock Lesnar rule. Hey,
It works.
if I'm not in the main event,
I want to be on first.
give me on first. I could be in the flight home.
Well,
He actually did that.
yeah.
Mania 35.
Yeah.
He was in the first match. He did his thing, and he was at home before the Becky Lynch main event match.
Which that's part of the process. The other part is to obviously let's start them off with a bang, that kind of thing, make it huge, that kind of stuff. You're seeing that, just wait till you see what else is coming up later, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
They've missed that opportunity, but they also couldn't do it because Seth's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was healthy, I think maybe that was a possibility to do that match at EC. But now we're kind of in a situation where you're going to ask guys coming back from that knee to work twice, back-to-back days. And
Yeah, that's just irresponsible.
it's not. I don't think it's going to happen. Also, Seth being his shield, great line, great idea. He's hurt.
Well, that doesn't stop, AEW from still using Adam Cole as the reveal, and he was hurt during, and then
He can't wrestle for 6 months, so it's like, oh, that's great. We'll
But,
see you guys in July when we can.
he's there with Warlow and everything.
The problem is, Seth said, "I'm going to be your shield," which it insinuates I'm going to take some damage for you at some point.
Correct.
I'm already damaged. Good. Hell of a shield if you're limping up to try and fight Solo Sikoa. It's going to work really great for you, buddy.
You have to find
Also-
another shield.
Also, it's strange from the standpoint of I get why Rollins is involved too, but the story of Rollins and Cody don't like each other, and that's legitimate.
Right.
They've built respect, obviously.
Mhm.
They're working together now, and Seth seeing Cody. That's true. I think that's true.
Right.
But still,
I think it's clear to bring this podcast full circle and to bring it home. I think it's clear.
there's so many questions about this.
I think it's clear that there was a vision in place, and
whoop.
it got sidetracked.
It was Rock and Roman.
It was going to
Cody
be
and
Rock
Seth,
Roman. I think it's clear
Oh, of
that it was
course.
going to be Rock Roman.
Yeah. Kudos to you, the people, for telling them to get their shit together, and they should have pulled the trigger on that match like 2 years ago.
And Rock, to his credit, to TKO's credit, because I don't buy the whole thing like Triple H did. Triple H had a vision of where he wanted things to go. And then Rock came in, was on the board, heavily sold. Like, I have one shot to face Roman Reigns. This is the match that everybody wanted. And I honestly believe Rock, to bring it back to what we talked earlier, Rock probably didn't watch the product for the last
Oh, I don't believe that.
several months.
I think he pays attention. Those kind of guys, even like Cena and stuff too, they pay attention.
They pay attention.
Especially if you're going to be a board member, you kind of want to know what the hell you're going to be.
They know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, they know the wrestlers and stuff. But I think he was locked in for years on facing Roman and having this match. He wanted to do it last year.
It should have been 39.
And he wanted
Hollywood, whenever. Was that
39 last
yeah.
year.
Yeah, that
He
should have
wanted
been
to do it last year.
Perfect time. Perfect setting.
But the timing didn't work out because the Cody story was hot and they were talking about it. But they figured, well, maybe not this time. And that's why they were probably going Rock. And TKO was probably thinking we could do Rock Roman. We could have Punk and Seth do that, and Cody and
Cody and Cena.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, that makes the question too. Like, so if Cody was always the plan to win the Rumble, like, where was Punk fitting in? Was there going to be a match with Stone Cold? I mean, what was going to be the pull in for Punk at WrestleMania if he wasn't going to be involved with that? If it was always supposed to be Cody that won it, because that's what they've been saying. It was always supposed to be Cody that was going to win back to back.
But then he was going to face. But
he'd
he was
go
going to
face
face
Seth.
Seth.
So what the fuck?
And then what about Punk?
Or was it about The Rock finally saying, I do have some time, and it was too late for them to change their plan, so it was like, what do we do now? Okay, we pivot, and we can make it so Cody faces Seth. And then,
But the pivot still doesn't explain. Cody talked to a council.
he took counsel with a bunch
He
of
took
people.
counsel with a bunch of people.
Including
What
The
did The Rock say to Cody during the week?
Yeah.
And then what did Rock say to Cody in the ring when they hugged?
Because they were smiling.
And Cody left the ring. What was said?
Here's
If
the thing.
they don't have,
We might not get an answer.
if they don't have an answer, I think everything you said earlier in the show has some truth to it, because that's the foundation of this entire story. If we never get that answer, then what was the whole point of all of this?
That's what I'm saying.
And this could be a 2-year story, because it's going to culminate in Rock Roman next year. But where is this all going?
Yeah.
Oh, and then finally, before we wrap, Cleveland Scene reporting the tax credit with WWE.
I have my issues with Cleveland Scene, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. $1.5 million.
State of Ohio.
Over to the state of Ohio WWE. So we talked about it. SummerSlam could be coming here to Cleveland. We don't know yet if it's going to be Brown. If it is here, if it's going to be Brown Stadium or Progressive Field.
How many people can they fit inside Progressive Field? 37, 38,000?
37. And then some more on the field.
Yeah.
So probably 40.
You can get close to 40, I would think.
Yeah, you get 40.
I don't know, but they were in that Nissan Stadium last year in Tennessee.
Detroit last
Or
year.
Detroit.
They
Ford
were
Field.
they were in Nissan 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, so because that was damage control and all that
Mhm.
stuff, and so they were at Ford Field last year.
Yeah.
Right? Probably Brown Stadium. If they want to make it really feel big,
Mhm.
and you want to try and fit in, I don't know how many Brown Stadium fits, 70, 80,000, whatever it is.
Yeah, you can get
You get close to
80,000.
yeah, close to 80K in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and you will sell those tickets. Like there'll be plenty of
Yeah.
people that want to go to that.
Yeah,
So,
that won't be a problem.
and I'd be one of them. I'd like to go
Yeah.
see that.
I think
So.
Pete would go to SummerSlam, at
Big
Brown
event.
Stadium.
Second biggest event of the year. Well, technically third if you count Royal Rumble is bigger than that, but
I would consider going. Yeah.
Yeah,
it'd be a good experience.
yeah. There you go. You
Tell you guys' company to spring for some tickets
Yeah.
or something like that. You guys are connected.
Yeet.
You gotta buy him the
make
shirt.
that happen.
And you gotta buy him that shirt.
Uh-huh.
Tell Rebecca to get him that shirt. She got you one.
Yeah,
Tell her to get me one. What the hell?
I think Nick Chubb will be in the match for his contract.
There's a Deshaun Watson joke in here. I'm just gonna leave out. I've said enough controversial things tonight. I think we're good.
Well, I think if the side hustle becomes the main hustle, we're in deep, deep, deep trouble.
That's up to you, isn't it? You at home.
Good night.
See you guys.